Welcome. AI procurement is one of the biggest challenges inside both public and private sectors. Not necessarily because of the technology, but because of the lack of governance wisdom that is inside of organizations. Many organizations are believing in the hype, which I understand. I'm not saying the hype is wrong. Please listen to my point here, though. Many organizations are buying AI tools faster than it is governing them. In the private sector, it feels like keeping up with the Joneses type of scenario. If you are a medium to large and certainly enterprise business, the pressure of using AI is becoming immense. Boards requesting strategies, employees seeing other companies use them, and the media constantly harping on agentic AI being the future. How can you not? It makes total sense. You feel the pressure. I'm here to tell you that you need appropriate governance before you do this. In the public sector, it is much more of the same. Mayors want their cities to not lose out on possibilities for public improvements. They want to see other cities using tools, and of course, there's lobbyists telling them what they should be doing. The problem with all this pressure is that there is no playbook for AI. In fact, it's just the opposite. There are a lot of uncertainty inside the AI space. That uncertainty is causing many leaders in both public and private sectors to make mistakes that have huge ripples through the organizations that they run. Janus Point, our sponsor, turn AI risk into defensible action. Janus Point is a Bloomberg-style decision platform. It's made for municipal AI governance. It brings together the most decision-relevant intelligence across policy, procurement, legal risk, peer city activity, and vendor oversight. It then turns that intelligence into practical workflows for due diligence, documentation, and performance tracking. The result is a clearer, more defensible way for city leaders to evaluate AI tools, manage risk, and of course, justify adoption. JanusPoint.com. A common analogy that I use when I'm working with my clients is one of a speedboat versus a barge. A speedboat is able to make much quicker turns. Think about pivots in business. And it can get short distances much faster. A barge can't turn for crap and isn't very fast, but it can travel extremely long distances while carrying a ton of weight. Obviously, these are different types of water ships. This analogy applies to what we're talking about today in two ways. First is in adoption, and the second is how you know your employees feel the shifts. Let's talk about AI adoption. The bigger the business you have, the more weight you are carrying: employees, shareholder expectations, customer expectations, etc. If you try to turn the barge like a speedboat, all the weight will be flung. Imagine just a big barge just turning like a speedboat, just everything in it flying off. That seems pretty chaotic. And chaos will occur, and people and items will be damaged. If you are a small company, you don't have the same weight problem. You can make sharper turns and not have the same types of consequences. Continuing to think about this analogy from an employee perspective now, if they are on the speedboat, they may hear the driver yell that they are turning, and maybe they can brace themselves. In a barge, that's not going to happen. If they don't have any way of communicating with the captain, and the captain just goes, whoop. Once the ship started to turn quickly, they would not be prepared. They would be scared and most likely would affect the job that they were supposed to do on the barge. Put simply, the bigger the organization, the more strategic governance should be in place to make sure that the organization doesn't slam against the wall of the ship. This makes a lot of sense in concept to leaders, but becomes hard to implement when you have the extreme pressures regarding AI adoption that we talked about above. Here are some of the pieces of wisdom we have gathered over time to help bring the speedboat mentality to the barge practicality. Hire professionals to assess risks. If you have a big barge, train specific in-house AI compliance and risks teams. Bring these professionals in at every step of the procurement process. They should be at the vendor demo. They should understand the finances behind the decision. They should know and perhaps have a hand in creating the general AI narrative that the company has. If you do not have a general AI narrative by now and you are implementing tools, stop. Do that. Get everybody rowing in the same direction. While this may seem like a lot, understand the perspective of what AI could change in your organization. An agentic AI tool will be making decisions for you, your company, your clients, and how you interact with them. You train your employees, consider training to bring on a different type of employee. Think about an agentic AI as a different type of employee. As you go through the process of finding the right vendor and tool, be congruent with your AI narrative, your AI mission that you put forth already. I try and say this at least once a podcast, but in my opinion, AI should be human-centric, so your narrative should be around being human or the growth of humans for the human benefit. All decisions should be made with the betterment of your employees. This is my opinion of your organization. Understand what data the tool has been trained on and if your data will be part of the training process. Blessings and curses to both. You should understand this and be able to opt out of having your data, if you want to opt out, as being part of the process if you want to. It's like you're paying for a service and, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to use your data to make the service better, but we're not going to pay you for that. Take time to understand the new workflow it is going to create and talk to the boots on the ground it will impact. These conversations are perhaps the most valuable ones. The people that actually do the work are the ones who have the best questions. This is what we focus on at Janus Consulting. AI governance starts before procurement and does not end with a framework document. The speed of change is great. The needs of your organizations will change. The people writing the document will gather improved knowledge, especially if you're trying to do everything in-house, and you need to keep adding flames to the governance fire. It's never done. Keep adding wood to keep the flames going and understand where the flames are going. That was an okay analogy. Sometimes your analogies are broke. By your, I mean mine. We understand that there are a lot of pressures to keep pace, but many of the early adopters that tried to, take a sharp port side turn, you see what I said, port side instead of left? Man, I'm really rocking that boat analogy. Are now feeling the effects because they moved too fast. Learn from their mistakes and utilize little wisdom in the AI procurement process. Additionally, I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.